Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm David Mathis. Thank you guys for tuning back in. I really appreciate all your guys' support. It's been tremendous. If you guys are liking the channel, please go ahead and like, subscribe, and share. I'd really appreciate it. For today, I am interviewing Dr. Bill Campbell from University of South Florida. Dr. Campbell is a professor here, and let him introduce himself a little bit more to you.
Sure. So thank you for having me on your YouTube channel.
Absolutely.
So I'm a professor of exercise science. I've been at the University of South Florida for about going on my 12th year. And not only am I professor of exercise science, I'm also the director of the Performance and Physique Enhancement Laboratory, which happens to be where we're at.
Where we're currently at right now. We're going to give you guys a little tour later on of it after we kind of pick Dr. Campbell's brain a little bit. So want to kind of get into your history a little bit.
All right.
Were you always into bodybuilding as a child, or is this something that maybe later on in life you picked up?
Yeah, it was a little, I didn't start lifting weights seriously until I was a sophomore in college.
College, okay.
Yes, yeah. So I was always into sports. Loved football.
Yep.
I played basketball, ran track when I was before college.
Right.
Got to college. I was a basketball player in college, small school, Division III school.
Where at?
Messiah College, which is in Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
And I studied marketing. That was my degree.
Mm-hmm.
And as a sophomore, I started getting bodybuilding magazines.
Oh, yeah.
So Iron Mag was the very first one I bought.
Oh, wow.
And
yeah.
I just kept buying them and started lifting.
Because back then, that was how you got the diets. That's how you got the workouts, everything.
Yes.
Nobody knew that they were all on steroids. And yeah.
I'm not much of a hoarder, but I never threw away any of my magazines.
Really?
Yes, and I've been married a while. I don't know, 18 years, I don't remember.
And she hasn't snuck them out into the garbage yet, has she?
No, but she was about to. So she says, hey, take them to your fancy physique lab. So I'll show you later where I have a large stash of my magazines.
Absolutely. Well, I know what I'm going to be reading during supervision time later on.
And actually, I think I don't have them all. The other ones are in boxes, I think, in the attic. But a lot of them I have here now.
Okay.
So,
oh, wow. Yeah, I can remember even, I'm a little bit younger. I'm in my mid-30s now. But still, even for me, the internet wasn't like it was now when I was growing up. It was, the Iron magazine, stuff like that.
Muscle Mag, Flex,
Muscle and Fitness,
Muscular Development,
yes.
Muscle Media 2000. That was the internet for information on bodybuilding before the internet.
Right, absolutely. So I know that you went into this exercise science field a little bit later in life. You had a whole other career before this.
Yes, yep.
You want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So I studied marketing as an undergraduate,
okay.
And I was not a good student. I had a embarrassing low GPA.
Yeah.
And the reason for that was I just was not. I wanted to play basketball.
You weren't interested.
I could have cared less about marketing, to be honest. So my first job out of school was to sell bug killer and weed killer, so herbicides and pesticides. And my passion for that was about as low as it could be.
But I can imagine.
It was not exciting. But I did get to work out of my home, and it was I actually lived like a professional bodybuilder. Not that I looked like one, but I got to revolve my day around my training and my eating.
You could stop and eat whenever you needed.
Whenever,
anything.
yep, exactly. I could train. So again, I was basically a traveling salesperson in a tri-state area. Stayed overnight, I think maybe one night a week or 2 nights every other week. So it was a great job in terms of being able to just kindle this flame that I loved.
Keep
which
that
was
lifestyle going and everything, absolutely. Well, I was going to jump into another question, but that kind of gets me into the fact that you were a bodybuilder back
Yes,
in the
I
day.
competed many, many years ago.
Yeah.
I was 24 years old.
How long, what was the span that you competed in?
I only competed in one show.
Just one show?
One show. It was in, I think it was Hanover, Pennsylvania. There were 9 competitors in the bodybuilding division, and I came in 4th, which is exactly where I thought I deserved.
Okay. See, and that's rare. A lot of times, people get up on stage and they don't get the placing they think, but you were realistic about it.
Yes. Yeah.
So what made you stop after one show?
That's a good question. I don't know if I've ever been able to grapple with why I stopped. I can say why I haven't competed in 12 years, or for as long as I've been married. Let's just say it's 18 years. It's either 16, 17, or 18 or 19, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
It's probably like a lot of bodybuilders. It really took over my life. It can be a very narcissistic endeavor.
It's a selfish sport. It really is, absolutely. But you have to have that partner that's with you that understands.
Yes.
the selfishness and what it actually entails
Yeah, so
and supportive.
now that my children are a little older, it's something that I kind of have back in my mind that I'd like to do another one. And I have so much more knowledge now. I have access to some of the greatest minds, and my own lab's research
Oh, absolutely.
informs how I would go about things differently. So
Yeah, we've learned a lot over the last, just the last few years I've been involved in it. The studies that have come out since my time here
yes,
has just been revolutionary. It's going to start changing things down the road. Big
I
time.
believe so.
I think
too.
it's already starting to change things. So you went to school, you went back for your PhD later on in life. Were you married?
I started my master's degree when I was 28,
Okay.
and I got married at the end of my first semester. So I started my master's degree. So pretty much when you started your master's degree, I was engaged,
Okay.
but not married. And what made that so perfect for me was my wife was able to support me
Yep.
while I was getting my master's and PhD. So that was, 2-year master, 3.5, nearly 4 years for my PhD. So she supported me the whole time. And that's that story. And then we moved here, and I've been here ever since.
Yeah, absolutely. And as many of you guys know, I'm a little bit older in my journey starting this back, which is why I think Dr. Campbell and I kind of really related. I reached out to him almost 2 summers ago, I think now, about that
that's probably
email,
about right.
just explaining to him, hey, listen, this is my situation, this is what I've been through, this is what I want to do, what do I have to do to be a part of your program? And I think having that kind of experience, that age, going through the things I went through in the Army and that experience has helped me become a better student here in my master's. I don't think if I went for my master's at 21, I don't think I would nearly have appreciated it like I do now.
Oh, yeah, me
at
neither.
all.
And you were unique. You were part of my research team before you were even a student.
Right, yeah, I reached out to him and I was too late to apply. And actually, I think I still needed one more class. I was like, well, what can I do to be a part of it? Can I just volunteer? And so I just did lab supervision for a whole year before I even got into the program.
Yes, yeah. So yeah,
Got to help.
you made it impossible to not accept you because of all of your commitment.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. Okay, so you are really well connected in the industry. As far as top researchers go, you have a lot of friends. Who would you say is someone that, okay, this is going to be a 2-part question, that you really enjoyed doing a study with? Who was probably the top person that you really enjoyed collaborating with on a study? And who would you like to collaborate with a study in moving forward?
So I collaborate with a lot of people, and when I say that, I mean informally. It's not like we're all on the author line,
Right.
but there's a lot of people that I pick their advice from.
Yeah.
I'm gonna probably leave somebody out, but I'll just give you a few names of people that I try to get their advice on almost everything I do. So John Gorman would be one.
Yep.
Lane Norton, Paul Revelia, Lauren Conlon, Sohee Lee, Brad Schoenfeld. And again, I know I'm forgetting somebody.
You just
but
named an all-star list in
Yes.
our field right there. That's
So,
a pretty good connection.
Maybe not every study, but this study I'm getting 3 of their opinions. This study I'm getting 2 of their opinions.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason, and if you'll notice, there's a trend in all of them, other than Brad, who is a professor. Everybody else is in the trenches
Mhm.
of working with physique athletes,
Absolutely.
competitive and non-competitive. So I want the pulse of what they're doing. So essentially what I do is say, hey, you are the coaches, you're a coach.
Right.
What are you doing that you think is working, or something that you're told should work and it's not? And then that informs what we actually do in this building right here.
Mm-hmm.
We'll put it to the test.
Well, one of the things that I've implemented over the last 6 months to a year that I learned from our program is the back-to-back refeeds from the study that we did.
Yes.
And I'll tell you what, it's a little difficult getting people to understand and buy into it at first, but 2-3 weeks into it, they're sold. And that's
Okay.
one of the best things that I've learned from any of the studies that we've conducted here since I've been a part of it.
Yeah, that was,
is-
yeah.
That was
Now,
a year ago, year and a half ago, was that?
that was a spring semester, so that was, a year and a half
Year and a half ago, yeah.
Now, it's funny, John Gorman and I had a big discussion on, do we do back-to-back refeeds or do we split them out?
Mm-hmm.
So our study showed really positive effects of back-to-back, but we can't really say that it's better than splitting it because we didn't compare that.
Right.
But I think that probably will be one of our next studies that we'll do in the next 2 years.
Yep.
Is replicate that study, but divide out the refeeds. Instead of it being back-to-back, we'll split them apart.
Maybe like every 3 days or something
Yes,
like
or,
that.
yeah. 2 within every 7 days. I
Yeah.
think, at least for my research, I like to have week-long blocks of time.
Okay. So sticking with the research questions, what has probably been the one research study, the results that have baffled you the most, that you're like, wow, I cannot believe that was the end outcome? Like maybe you had a certain idea going into it, and you're like, wow, that was completely off.
Yeah. So most of our studies I design honestly believing that there's not going to be any difference between the two groups or the intervention.
Yep.
And unless it's a dietary supplement that has caffeine or let's say protein, all of my training studies, almost all of my research, there is no difference. They're not that exciting because people want there to be differences.
Mm-hmm.
So the diet refeed study, where we had one group that dieted straight for 7 weeks compared to the other group, which dieted 5 days and then had 2 days of increasing their calories in the form of carbohydrates. Yeah. That study surprised me because we found that they maintained their muscle mass significantly better. They maintained their metabolic rate significantly better. I had thought, well, the refeeds won't cause any harm, but I really didn't think there would be any statistically significant differences in their ability to maintain metabolism and muscle mass.
Gotcha. So our lab, you in particular, are pretty well known for female physique studies.
Yes, yeah.
Not that you don't study male competitors too, but what has kind of geared your research more towards female physique competitors?
Yeah, so years ago we did mostly males because that's what dietary supplement companies tend to want to fund. But I have a running joke about why I tend to focus my research agenda on females, and the joke is, well, I love females. I married a female,
yeah.
I've got 2 daughters, I have a girl cat. So everything about my life is
geared towards the female.
Yes.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Now, practically speaking, we deal with young adults, typically 18 to 22-year-old college-aged subjects in our studies.
Right.
At that age, females are a lot more mature than males. So they are going to be more compliant with their diets.
Yep.
They do not
Absolutely.
bring their egos to the weight room as much as the males do. They don't drop out of studies as much. So just everything about females at that age is better for me as a researcher. I feel like they're more compliant, so essentially I can say I can control more things with that population.
That makes sense.
And they're more appreciative of
the results,
the opportunity to engage in research.
And that's one thing, you guys, you got to understand, it's not really easy to conduct research because there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that it's not just like, you get a bunch of people in here, you get the results and you print it. Like the recidivity rate of actually keeping people in the study for the length of it is very, very difficult. Especially like you said, college-age students, they've got a whole life outside of it. If they don't come for one of their sessions in the study, it's not a big deal to them, but it screws up all of our studies.
Yeah,
so actually getting someone to go through and getting enough subjects to actually get some reasonable data out of a study is very, very difficult. So that's why the studies that are out there that are in peer-reviewed journals and stuff like that, they're very, very critical to learn and to read and know about because of all the work, if you would know all the work that goes behind it and the results that come from it. So, okay, just 2 more questions and then I'll get you out of here. What has probably been the biggest life lesson that bodybuilding has taught you? Or being around bodybuilders?
Yeah, I would just say in my own life, it teaches discipline, perseverance, and an appreciation for the long game.
Yes.
Because
no short term.
No. So yeah, trying to gain 5 pounds of muscle this week.
Yeah.
And I mean, just look, and we're going to go on a tour of my lab here in a little bit. But just even building this, and this is a humble space. It's not a Taj Mahal by any stretch of research labs, but every couple months I'm getting another piece of equipment. So it's taken 12 years to go where it is now. And as you can't see here, but all around us, this is...
I'll take you guys for a tour here in a minute.
Yeah, you're going to see that it's pretty much been blown up on this side of the lab because we're getting a new machine and I'm putting down new flooring. So I love the disciplined lifestyle approach that bodybuilding has taught me.
That's what I've always appreciated about it too, because I'm a very type A personality, and then especially coming from the military. I was that way prior to the military, but I like regiment. I like structure. I have no problem eating. Now, I'm a flexible dieting advocate. You guys all know that, but I personally have no problems eating the same meals each and every day. He sees me in class eating the same meals over and over.
Well, then one assignment that you.
Oh yeah.
The macro tracking assignment.
It was like, well, I can give you everything right now for the 8 weeks that you want us to track.
What was it, rice and beef or something?
Yep, beef and rice. I was doing the vertical diet for a while, so.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so this lab has grown tremendously in even the 2.5 years, whatever, I've been a part of it. What are your 5-year goals and what are your 10-year goals for this lab? Or I guess another way to put it, what's your short-term, what's your long-term goals?
Yeah. So one of the problems that I was experiencing in the past, our lab was big. We had sometimes 30, 35 people on our research team helping. So this was the first year where we put a cap on my research assistant help. So I think we're limited to about 25, no more than 25.
Okay.
And the reason we're doing that is I was not doing the best job of mentoring my students on my research team because it's simply, if you have
just too many
small,
people.
yes.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to do is mentor my students better. And we've always done a great job of providing opportunities. To me, the best blessing I can, that just I love about this is to be able to provide a job through my network for my students. Or
and it's a tremendous network.
Yes, or
Absolutely.
to get them to the next level of if they want to study in a doctoral program somewhere. So if we're doing those two things, then I'm happy. So I guess my short-term goals are to refine that process, to get a little bit more structure in place.
Yep.
So I just had a student who graduated, Lauren Colenso Semple. She was very instrumental in helping me improve my systems.
Right.
And now I'm happy to say I think we just closed our research team, and we have 24 people that are going to be helping us this year. My new research coordinator is Madeline Seidler. She's a current master's student. So I'd say that just getting better at mentoring and providing opportunities is my short-term goals.
Well, when you bring the number of people down, the quality goes up.
Yes.
So you've got 24 people that are fully committed, as opposed to 35 who 15 of them might be kind of on the fringe.
No, and Madeline had this idea, which I think is great. We had a lot more people that wanted to help. So what we did was we basically said, you have to do these 4 steps, and the first 3 to get them done, because we were closing out our team.
Yeah.
The first 3 to get them done, you're on. And that was great because that
shows
demonstrates
commitment.
yes.
Absolutely.
And do they work with lightning speed? Because you need that. Like you can't be procrastinating in research. It just delays and delays. So
because you're talking about students that have full workload. They probably are working another job too. And this is a I don't know what I'm trying to say. This is definitely something that you have to put a lot of attention into. Like you can't just half-heartedly, if you decide you don't want to come one day, that's
then the lab's locked.
The lab's locked, and that screws up studies. That screws up everything for everybody. So you have to be fully committed. And I guess that leads into my last question. If someone was applying for this master's program, what would be your best advice for them? Not so much class-wise, because that's kind of set, but as far as to make them stand out a little bit more.
Well, one thing that I tend to do before I answer that is if they want to come here, I will if this program is not the best program, I don't want you coming here. So I have many times recommended other programs.
Because other people have looked for more clinical, and that's not us.
No,
that's not us at all. And he's flat out told them, go to UF or something.
Exactly. Yeah, University of Florida has a great clinical program. Our exercise program is not. Now, it's funny we say that. All of our clinical students, after their internships, they get hired as clinical exercise scientists. So we do well in job placement, but it is not our emphasis in our program. So that's the first thing. Let me try to convince you not to come to our program. So that's where I start.
That's a different approach, yeah.
It is, but I want people that are happy. I don't want to,
Absolutely.
So I'll undersell, maybe over-deliver if you buy into that. But my advice would be something that I didn't do, and it is don't come to a program wherever you go and just go to class and get straight A's. You really should get involved in research or clubs, anything that you can get involved with, Because a university is a unique place. You have people that sit around that will share ideas. Now we have a physique science club, so we even get more opportunity.
Right.
But do more than just the coursework, the classroom stuff. Meet other students. I can't tell you now how many students that were here at the same time have employed the other student. Or some of them are married to each other now. They've met each other here.
Yeah.
So yes, that would be my advice. Do more than the coursework or the classroom aspect.
Well, as many of you guys know, our team BioLane, majority of our staff has come from our program here. So there's opportunities, like you said, networking with other people and getting out there and stuff. Maybe take the approach that I took and just email, if you want to email Dr. Campbell or whoever's program you're trying to get into, email them and just let your intentions be known, right? Let them know what you've done, what your goals are, and if you can just sit down for a meeting. I mean, that's all it took, and I got to sit down with Dr. Campbell. I think we talked for a half hour, 45 minutes, and that gets the ball rolling from there. So don't be afraid to reach out to someone that you think could be a possible mentor or somebody that's running a program that you want to get into. It's a really good way to get your foot in the door. So, Dr. Campbell, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Let's go for a little tour of the lab.
All right, let's do it.
All right.
So this is the powerlifting side of the lab. That's what we'll call it. So as you can see here, we have 4 squat racks, 2 deadlift platforms, and then a few other accessory pieces of equipment. So let's start in this corner. And we also have a powerlifting club at the University of South Florida. They rent out this space about 3 days per week, so that they also have access. Probably about 5 years ago, the research that we were doing was more focused on powerlifting, and since that time, we've been focused on what my true passion is, which is bodybuilding, physique enhancement. So you'll notice that since we do a lot of female studies, I try to get a lot of things that cater to female. So this is a reverse hyper.
So what is the reverse hyper really good for?
So this is like the posterior kinetic chain. I've had back pain, and I was told, Danny Bove, one of my former students, Lauren Conlon, one of my former students, said, hey, there's a lot of people that have had really good results with back pain with this. And I can't say it's helped my back, but I do know that females love this machine. So essentially, I've got my teaching clothes on today.
Right.
But you can imagine you get in here, you're up here, and this is the movement that you would be doing on this machine. So it's a high posterior chain activation unit.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've used that machine quite often, especially when I had coming back from a bulging disc last year. Definitely helps a lot.
So the other day, and Brett Contreras is one of the people that I really pay attention to what he's teaching. So I was using kickback. So I pulled this out. I got down on all fours, and then you can kind of put your foot on this, and you can be using it as a kickback as well.
It's a great variation.
Yes. So all of our studies, all of our female physique enhancement studies, we have squats and deadlifts built into the compound movements, into their training program. So there's not a study that we do that does not include those lifts. So, and when we have a study going on, it's not uncommon that we may have 10, 15 subjects in here at one time. Music's usually pretty loud. It's definitely not quiet like it is now. This was I think this was our latest purchase. We got this.
It was
you helped install, were you?
Yeah, it was end of last spring, or kind of midway through the spring, I think.
Yeah, maybe even towards the end of the fall semester. I know it came after we did our glute hypertrophy study, because I wanted to use it for that.
Yeah.
But this is a booty builder. I love this. I like this for myself better than barbell hip thrusts. I feel more glute activation with this. Very simple. It's selectorized. And my long range goal is to get another one of these or two, and just basically have the booty builder wall, so to speak.
The shrine to Brett Contreras.
Yeah, we might as well get a big mug shot of him behind it.
Absolutely. Okay, so we're leaving the powerlifting side.
We'll go over to
and that's what's unique about our lab, guys, is that we actually have a whole separate side devoted for accessory movements, bodybuilding type activities.
Yeah, more single joint exercises. So this side does not normally look like this. This is usually very clean. We do lab cleanings and everything has a place, but we're getting a new cable crossover machine in the next 2 weeks. And before I get that, I'm putting down new tiles. So one thing, I want to make this point clear, and if my wife happens to watch this, my wife thinks I'm not very handy, because I'm not. But I have laid the tiles down on both sides. This is my new tiles here. The other side, when I was walking, I did all of that. Now I've had some students help me. Gavin Rogers was a big help. I'm sure you helped.
Yeah.
But this is where I get to feel a little bit handy, because at home, I'm not the handy guy. My wife is the one who fixes everything, unfortunately.
Oh my gosh, mine's the same way. We just moved into our new house.
Oh yeah?
And she's up there hanging pictures and all that stuff. And I'm like, I swear, I'm a man, babe. I can do this. She's like, no, it's okay. I'm better at it.
All you got to do, though, is take a picture of you with the hammer, and then people will think that.
Absolutely.
So we have dumbbells, 5 through 100. We got this last summer. I think you helped me bring this in.
I did.
That was
a beast.
That was a day that I won't forget. So that's our lat pull down. We have 2 hip thrusters. One here. I don't know where the other one is. Oh, yeah, that goes right in front of me.
It's just not in the space it's usually at.
Yes. And over here, leg curl, leg extension. So again, we call this the accessory side. Some people call it the bodybuilding side.
So for those of the people that are watching this that don't really understand, where does the funding come to get equipment for this?
So everything you've seen so far, booty builder, leg extension, leg curl, have been built off of grants that I've gotten. So Dimetized Nutrition has been my biggest supporter. And what's unique about them, they will fund studies that are of no benefit to them to fund, because we're not testing their products.
Right.
They're literally investing in me to answer questions that will improve the science of female physique enhancement.
Gotcha.
So they get a benefit by me saying, hey, thank you, Dimetized, for funding these studies.
Right. But that makes a big difference in the quality of the company, too. I mean, look, you don't have to push their products. I mean, I know you do say their name and everything, but they are truly invested in improving exercise science.
Yes, just by the fact that they fund a lot of this research. So Menno Henselmans has funded our current diet break study, so that's what's paying. In that grant, we're getting a new cable crossover. That will be here. Right now, it's kind of an empty space. And I've had other supplement companies. I'm trying to think what other supplement companies I've been able to generate equipment. But mainly Dimetized, mainly the Menno Henselmans group. And I'm sure there's some other. I think Muscle Farm funded a few of my studies a couple years ago. I got a metabolic rate machine. That's one thing we're not showing you today. We do our body composition assessments, our body water assessments, and our metabolic rate measurements in a different building. This is where all the training goes on for our studies.
And I'm actually interested in doing a video about that too, so we might end up showing the viewers that later on at some point.
That would be great. So just to show you what this will look like, again, cable crossover here, my dumbbells will be back against this wall. And I've got about a week to finish this flooring, so we'll see how that goes.
All right. Well, thank you so much for the tour, Dr. Campbell. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you for letting me talk about my baby here.
Guys, thank you for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed the interview with Dr. Campbell. Once again, I really appreciate you coming on. How can people find you?
The best place is Instagram. It's at Bill Campbell, PhD.
And I'll put all that stuff in the description box below. But thank you guys for tuning in once again. If you guys are liking the channel, please like, subscribe, and share. And I'll be back with another video soon. Thank you.
Bye.